He hui ia te kaupapa, ko ia tērā. Ko ia tērā, e whawhai ana, kia noho horite ai, a te hononga o te Māori, ki te kāwana, no reira, ki ai te pāpā, takoto atu rā, hei a pōpōka, tau ai ngā poroporo aki, kei runga i a koe, a whai muri i tērā ka timata hia, a me ki, kia huri tō waka, ki te reinga, kia waiki nui, kia waiki roa, kia waiki pāmāmā o te atu ai. Hoi anō, rātau kia rātau, te hunga mate, ka hoki pēnei mai ki tēnei o ngā kaupapa e pātata rawa ana ki tana ngākau, tātou kia tātou, ai hāpai tonu ana i wana wohaki, i wana wawata, mo te kaupapa nei, mauri ora ki te piringa whare. Tēnā tātou.
Thank you, Gene. There's no public input and petitions, no extraordinary business, notice of motion or adjourned business. We've got reports of the Chief Executive of Staff information. We'll go to page 4 for wastewater treatment stage 2 update.
No, your year one first.
Oh, sorry, we will too. Yes, we'll go straight to the last one, which is page 21, yeah, the appointments of the Wastewater Manager Committee and co-chairs. So it's on page 21. Just a noting paper, because the Mayor, at our meeting last time, she appointed, or we appointed, but she confirmed the appointment of the co-chairs, which was Ronald Beppe and myself. Moved by Nick, seconded by Penny. All those in favour?
Aye.
Okay, right, we'll go straight back to page 4 for the wastewater treatment stage 2 update. Thank you, Leo.
Okay, this report just follows on from the previous one, which was from 1st of July to end of 1st of July 22 to end of July 23, and this is from end of June rather, and this is from the 1st of July 23 to, from memory, the 6th of November when the report was written. Just giving an update on the progress in stage 2. So reiterating, the practical completion was achieved by McConnell Dow, the main contractor, by the 7th of September, and physical construction of plant and civil works was completed. Critically, against the timeline, hot commissioning wasn't completed, and there was still substantial progress to be made on achieving design performance, primarily from the principal pieces of equipment, and then progressing to trial operations, hope of starting in November at this point. A key change from the previous report was on progress to date. At this point, we were forecasting to end over budget due to the additional time to resolve process issues, achieve design performance, and additional costs with site safety fencing, unplanned work around maintaining a bund of soil on site, planting it, and the potential inclusion of lamella covers, which we can talk about on site. At this point, we were looking at the $278,000 overrun on a $35 million budget, so it was 22%, I think. And the contingency, the original contingency was 2%, I think, of the budget. So usually in proportion, it's actually still tracking well. Milestone dates, hot commissioning didn't achieve it, which was supposed to finish in September, earlier than September, and then trial operations as well. So we're well over that, as talked about previously, it looks like trial operations we hope to begin sometime this month in December, and followed by trial operations and commission testing, which confirms compliance, which is done over 100 days. Still a moving feast. So a bit more detail in the report from Ben Akapa, who is the project manager for stage 2. From page 7, so September to October, the things that closed out revised bulk electrical variations. We had Becca on site, who are the designers, to help us guide us through achieving performance out of the equipment. We put in place consistent daily and weekly project team meetings to keep traction on progressing the plant to performance levels, and there was a real focus and continues to be a focus on capturing performance data to inform the next stages of how to evolve and continue that achieving performance. Defects remediation is in play around pieces of the equipment that have been identified that weren't working as we go through the whole plant. They look at what's working, what's not, what needs to be repaired. So working through lists of that and checking those off to date. They've pretty much all been completed. Looking for quotes on boundary fencing. You'll see the state of the fencing when we visit site. So putting fencing was critical, and was getting quotes for planting and remediating the bund to make it look acceptable. As you'll see, the bund planted because the weather hasn't been acceptable of late to plant the plants, it'd be too wet. And procuring the plants. And then basically in the other pages it's got what the change in targets were for cold commissioning completed, hot commissioning still in process at this point, aiming to be finished before November, and then trial operations, the original concept was looking to do them in revised one in November and December. What I'll report is, as I say, it looks like we'll do the trial operations possibly this month and going into the new year. Financial performance tracking over, forecasting to be over budget. Cumulative tracking, doing the same thing. He's included some pictures. So our primary issue when it comes to principal piece of equipment, which are the ones purchased by council, which are the clarifier, the tertiary filters, the solids production equipment, and the UV. And what we're seeing here is a filter from the tertiary filter, which is blocked. Continual issues, it's not meant to look like that. And then in the pages after that, it's actually pictures of what the tertiary filter looks like, which is a series of 30 plates. Each one, there's 2 of them. Each one's worth $600,000 each. And all product passes through them, comes from the clarifier, passes through them, passes through the membrane plates, and then flows to the UV. What we're finding at this particular point is the tertiary filters are not performing as they should to design, and there's been lots of work over the last few weeks since this report, and working with the suppliers of that technology. We're not quite there. Well, we hope we're on a pathway now of all the work we've done to date. There's just some design issues with the actual filters themselves, and working with the providers with Veolia on what we're going to do to sort them. And at that point, we're kind of almost at the trial operations, that performance, tweaking the performance of things to get them to the levels we want. There's just some fundamental issues, which is on systems in the actual the filters themselves, which is designed for cleaning the filters, the discs, and that happens do that once a day sort of thing to clean those filters, and that's not working properly. So, and those are kind of fundamental to the performance of the filters. So we'll have a clearer picture on that over time. The other pictures are just kind of showing how they've tidied up curbs, which required some work. The fencing, which is set to be replaced, and you can kind of tell from the pictures as to why. It's kind of historical, and that is in process at the moment.
Right. We'll go see this very soon. We'll have a site visit and we'll an hour, 20 minutes or so, and we'll finish this. Shouldn't be too far. Any questions at all for?
Not sure. I have in my mind that the formation of the buttons for the plant was from material from the.
Yeah. So when they excavated this is from what I've learned. There's quite deep foundations right through the whole plant, and so all the soil that was extracted from creating that was contaminated, so it couldn't leave site. So they formed a substantial bunch. You'll see it when on site, which had to remain on site, which has created a bit of a nice wind break and the like, and we'll plant it up so that it's nice. But yes, a consequence of maintaining the material on site.
I've got another question. If the contract is 100%, where are we now in terms of contract completion, given the 278k overrun?
That's a good question. From a plant and equipment perspective of actual construction, as per this, we're sitting at that 100%. That's all in. It's just performance-based stuff. So I think in reality we're at that sort of 10%, which is gaining performance and working through the trial operations and the testing, which confirms the equipment is performing and we're meeting the consent requirements. Yeah.
One question, please. Are you confident that with the 2% contingency of the original budget, there is sufficient in there should you require more spend?
So the overspend is over and above the contingency.
Oh, okay.
So we're fully spent, and this is over and above.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions for Leo? Yes.
Spent already above.
So just a noting paper. Do I have a mover of this? All those in favour? Carried. Okay, on to our next page, which is Drainwise update, number 14, page 14. We had a bit of an update last week on this, but this is the latest one.
From the 1st of July 23 to the 6th of November was an update on those events. Now, it's kind of a testament to, I think, what the East Coast is going through of late, that just in that short period we had two rain events that forced the opening of the scours. They were affected by the damaged outfall pipeline, which obviously had restricted volume of. So what that did was trigger those having to be opened at lower levels than what would be normal. The pipe's fixed now, so we're back to normal. But we did have one in September and July. Rapid inflow assessment was quite...
Sorry, we did have another one last week. And that was the pipe, the outfall pipe, the operation.
So that was just inundation. So it was almost like a perfect storm in the fact that the 7 days prior we just had consistent rain, which went and topped all of the surface water up again. That rain had heavy bouts in certain areas. It overwhelmed the wastewater system because all water that hit the ground ran off, and was either because with our cracks in pipes and the like, because we're at saturation level, as rain falls, efficient movement into the pipes as well as overland flows. So we had another event that lasted 2 days to finish that, and the driving factor of that was that we had manholes popping so as to avoid wastewater overflows in the city. We just need some dry weather.
So how many hours would that have been?
So it was 2 days. And that'll be in the next report that I'll do as well.
Yeah, excellent.
Continuing the rapid inflow assessments, so the on-property assessments, so just in those months from July to November, we checked 970 properties and repaired 255 gully traps and removed 15 downpipes, which is quite substantial. And repaired those, and so we've got a very efficient Drainwise system at the moment with they're doing the inspections and they're doing the repairs at the same time, so nothing's lost. And what I did a little bit of historical one on that within the last couple of periods we've had 3,400 properties inspected, 1,400 gully traps repaired and 55 downpipes removed gully traps, which is 5 times 50. So each downpipe you remove or house lot of water going into the wastewater system that you remove is equivalent to 50 houses of normal wastewater flow. So it's massive in regards to what you're removing on impact. So it's like 2,500 houses we've removed from worth of flows from the system. And we are seeing that in the performance, hence that 60 mil to 120 mil of rain, having the issues with having to open scours. Private drains are on private property. At this point, because early in the new financial year, 8% of the budget was spent. The Ida Coldstream Road project was waiting on dry conditions to get back in. They're in there now. Despite the rain, and we've got a project in Waimea Road that is currently in the consent process, which we hope to action in the new year.
So what is that project, 608 to 610?
So there's there's flooding that affects multiple properties, so that's a case of putting in council infrastructure to remove that water, which tops gully traps and affects our system, and bring it into our stormwater network. And it's several properties and it's substantial flooding. And what it will produce for future committee meetings is a very visual display on all of the public roads and private property projects that we've actually done and completed. Those that we've inspected that we found actually didn't need to go any further, and those that we are in our schedule for to complete the city in our schedule for the next few years to work through. A lot of work going on there at the moment to give an insight. But again, those the public drains on private property certainly helped improve our capacity. That's pretty much, I think. So stormwater, wastewater, 23% of budget spent, and it relates to our street project, and a commitment exists for the Disraeli and Childers Road renewal, so programs that are in place, as well as the wastewater renewal contract, the 22-23, as per the last meeting, was delayed through all the cyclones, and at this point was to be completed by the end of November. In reality, it will be completed tonight. Just because of the constant rain. So these guys can't work when there's stormwater flow and egress into the wastewater system. So when there's rain, it's impossible to work, so they have to pull back. The 22-23 contract, which is for this financial year, has been awarded to NZ Lining, and they have started the preliminary stuff on that contract in November, and they'll start formally doing analysis of the pipes they are going to reline in this week, later on this week and early this month, and then they'll formally kick off doing the actual lining work in the new year and have it completed before the financial year.
So just for the committee's sake, relining is a whole process of like a resin lining going through the whole pipes, redoing the whole, instead of having to replace the pipes. It's
a more efficient process of, and it's structural lining. It's actually designed to reinforce the pipe, and it's structurally sound itself. And basically, that's lining the internal of the pipe, completely sealing it, including the laterals that come off it. They do those junctions as well. So they're all sealed, so effectively we're ending up with a pipe that has at least another 50 years of life in it. Replacing them, as you can imagine, requires tearing up roads and massive works and replacing. So this is the most efficient, least destructive way of resealing our network.
I've seen it in action.
A bit like Tom said, obviously it sort of reduces the capacity.
It does reduce the capacity, but that is the team have worked through historically and what that impact is, and obviously the capacity is affected by all the cracks and what it in as well. So it's the lesser of two evils, and again it seals the network. So if we're sealing the network, we eliminate our inflow and our infiltration issues. Inflow we're dealing with the property inspections. So we end up with an efficient wastewater system, which maybe for all in dry weather flows, no issue, copes exceptionally well. So the capacity of the system is more than adequate for the city. It is the infiltration that is the issue, which then overwhelms the system.
Yeah.
Looks like, is there any questions for Leo?
I've got a couple for you, Mr. Chair. When you report back that 1,400 gully traps have been repaired and 55 downpipes been removed from the gully traps, where does that go when those downpipes are removed? Where does the water go from there?
Like when they are removing that's a good one. When they are removing the downpipes from the gully traps, they are directed into the council's stormwater system. So they make sure it's not just putting on the ground somewhere else. They actually put them into the network. And the gully trap repairs are just sealing the gully traps. So if there's cracks in their foundation around them where water can get into the pipes, they're sealing that. So it's stopping the infiltration.
Further, you mentioned on page 15 the Tangata Whenua reference group. Is that group still active? It's because it's a reporting back from May of 2022.
I think that's another group that we've got to really get back together and meet again. The first task was to get this committee back together and operating, and then translate the others.
It may be coming in future reports back to this committee, but you notice there in terms of the shellfish virus study methodology, which came out again in May of 2023. Has that study progressed any from that time?
I'm unsure of that. I have to check. During my time, I haven't had anything to do with it, but I would certainly check.
Because we're currently sitting with this virus amongst our shellfish at the present.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
43, Mr. Chair. At point 8 in this paper, please, it's noted there that 7% of the 24 budget has already been used. What is the total budget for Drainwise for 24?
So there's multiple sections of that inform to the Drainwise. So we've got an operational budget, which is the property checks, which this year is, off the top of my head, is 342,000, I think. And then we've got private drains on private property, which is capital works. And I don't remember that one exactly, but it's about 680,000, I think, for this year, and kind of perpetual through for the next few years. And then we've got the wastewater pipe renewals, which is a bit strange this year because we've got the 22-23 that's been carried into this year and the 23-24, and off the top of my head I think it's 1.7 million. So, but this contract for this 23-24 is $1 million, just or 996,000 I think for these renewals. But the budget will be fully spent between last year's carryover and this year's awarded, along with the engineer to contract, etc. costs that exist around that to make sure that they're doing it to specification.
Would a subsequent, if I may, Mr. Chair? Thank you, Mr. Kelso. The crux of my question is, I'm wondering how relevant it would be for us as Wastewater Management members to have a dashboard that allows us to understand the full scope of the budgets that apply to this committee work.
Yeah.
And also to where we are percentage-wise in terms of the project and program development that's to execute on those works. I kind of like whole pictures because I'm an analytical global who likes to see where we are in the whole solar system of the piece of work.
And definitely that will be where we will head to, along with the understanding where we're at physically in regards to inspections and the like too. So you've got a really good understanding of where we are, where we're going, and what our progress is, and we'll put the numbers around that as well.
Is that what you think?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions for BA? Okay, so it's a noting report. I'll move it, and seconded by Angus. Okay, all those in favour? Okay, well, that's the end of our committee meeting, and we'll be getting out. We've got some vehicles available to go to the wastewater treatment plant for a visit. It should take about an hour to go through all the new upgrade. That should be pretty exciting. And with that, I'll close the meeting. Angus, would you like to close our meeting?
Oh, yeah. He honore, he kurore, he mama, te whenua kāre toi.